Bear Down Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the Designer, Jack McGrath in the building, ladies and gentlemen. AI Jack, as he's been dubbed on the Carmen and Yurko show. We got a lot to get into on today's episode. We got to talk about this Trey Hendrickson situation. My goodness, is there an opportunity for a trade that could be on the table? Does Ryan Poles need to pull the trigger? We'll talk about all that and a ton more on today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We do want to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth. I'm excited to let you guys know about our partner in Mitch Lyons. Mitch Lyons, a former NFL player who shared some grass with another, that sounds crazy when Yurko's not on the show, but another former football player, John Yurkovich, who's on the show with us here. He is now out here helping you to optimize and protecting your nest egg and optimizing your income. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Also brought to you by the Advantage Dealer, the Chicago Bears podcast, represented by the Advantage Dealer. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, and Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes, or they'll make your first car payment. And brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino, Northern Indiana, Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6, right off of I-80-94. A lot of words in a row there. Jack, what's going on?
Nothing much. How are you doing, Pat?
I'm excited. It's very interesting for me to be home and you to be in the studio today. But I've got 3 people in the house, all sick, and one of them can't walk yet. So yeah, I mean, I had to take care of the family.
Yeah,
today.
no, I understand that. We've got Nurse Pat on duty today, taking care of everybody back at
Nurse
home.
the designer,
I love it.
if you will.
I hope everybody starts feeling a little bit better, but happy you're able to spend some time with the family, though.
Appreciate it. I'll tell you who's not feeling better right now, Jack, is Trey Hendrickson. We've got statements all over the place. Yesterday, he made a statement to ESPN about where it seemed like, this whole getting a deal done situation is actually going to fall. What he said to ESPN yesterday was no communication has taken place between my camp and the organization post-draft. The offers prior to the draft did not reflect the vision we shared and were promised last offseason if I continued to play at a high level. Coaches are aware of these past conversations, which is even more interesting with the things that we have seen come out now today. And I have been eagerly awaiting a resolution of this situation, but that's not hard. That's hard to do when there's no discussion and an evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals. Today, we've heard Trey Hendrickson talk a ton, a 22-minute press conference where I would say the big theme of it, and I guess the big takeaway from it, if you will, was a tweet that, and now all of a sudden when I need everything, right, my tweets are gone here. Trying to find this here. Where the heck did it just go? Thanks.
I'll set it up for you, Pat. He's taking this personally that he hasn't gotten a contract done
there
yet.
it is.
He's
it's
upset.
Become personal.
He's taking it personally. He seems like somebody who's offended right now that he hasn't gotten a deal done. He says Zach Taylor, their head coach, reached out to him, and they're still 30 days away from mandatory minicamp, and said, if you're not at mandatory minicamp, you are going to be fined. He is upset right now with the Cincinnati Bengals. Initially, that statement from ESPN looks like, okay, maybe he's putting some pressure on to try to get a contract done. After today's press conferences and speaking to the media, I'm not so sold. I don't think he sees himself in Cincinnati any longer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to read from Charlie Goldsmith. Wanted to make sure I credited it right. It's become personal, unfortunately, is the theme of this entire press conference. With Zach Taylor sending out that tweet, Jack, like, it feels like, is that not the message of the contract's not getting done, and if you don't show up, we will fine you?
Why are you sending it almost a month before? He mandatorily has to show up if you're not expecting that. Send that maybe a week before or something like that. Don't send it 30 days in advance. And that's something that rubs Trey Hendrickson the wrong way. If I'm the Bengals, I would be open for deals right now because these two parties seem way too far apart. The Bengals have already spent so much of their salary cap. Maybe I'm wrong because we've seen this before where teams get something done right before the season starts. But right now, this doesn't seem like two teams on the same page.
Yeah, and this is not the Cincinnati Bengals podcast, but the Bears angle I do think is here. You have to set it up with all the disgruntledness that seems to fully be there from Trey Hendrickson at this point. The question on the table for the Bears, though, is Is this something Ryan Poles should be monitoring? Is this something where the Bears need to pick up the phone and possibly be ready to pull the trigger, a big trigger, if you will, in offering something for Trey Hendrickson here?
Yes. Yes. 100%. If I was in a room with Ryan Poles right now, I would be imploring him. If he's listening right now, Ryan Poles, I hope you're listening.
He's watching the
Please
show.
go get Trey Hendrickson. He had 17 and a half sacks last season. He had 17 and a half sacks the year before. He would immediately be your best defensive player. He might immediately be the best player on the team. You'd add another All-Pro, another multiplier to this team, and the Bears are able to do it. This is why you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, so you can add to the rest of the team. This is why everybody was head over heels, or for the most part, maybe not you, Pat, but generally, this is why people were head over heels to move Justin Fields and get Caleb Williams on that rookie deal, was because then you can add other pieces around while not paying your quarterback very much. The Bears have an opportunity right now to add a superstar to their defense that would multiply, that would make Montez Sweat better because he would never be double teamed on that pass rush. That would make the interior of your defensive line better. That would make your secondary look better because the quarterback wouldn't be able to throw the ball. If you have an opportunity to go get Trey Hendrickson, you have to go get him, especially this year. He might be the missing piece for this defense to unlock a complete new level.
It's so interesting to me, right? The fact that Trey Hendrickson is even in this situation. You would think, right? They locked up 3 wide receivers, essentially. You locked up a quarterback and wide receivers and basically said, we don't care about the defensive line here. And to me, I think the Bears are in this interesting position where it doesn't feel like the Bears are coming into this season and saying, hey, we're hoping for 9 wins. We're thinking 10 wins. We're going small. It seems like the Bears, even with how they operated in the draft, right, are looking to go big here. It's like, we want to add some pieces in that can be impactful for this team, but also we feel like we've got a team already based on what we did in free agency, based on what we've done, based on what was previously laid groundwork wise here, based on, like you said, going out and getting the rookie quarterback on that rookie deal. We feel like we're in a great position here to add big pieces to our team this offseason. And I know people are looking at this and going, why are these guys talking about Trey Hendrickson? The Bears don't have the money to do it. I told you, when you start winning, eventually you're going to get rid of your favorite Bear's favorite Bear. And there may be some people on the chopping block to make this kind of deal happen. And unfortunately, like, it sucks, but if Trey Hendrickson's the piece that you're getting back, I think that you have to be thinking about those kind of deals, and not even just players. I would say go big if you had to with draft capital, because Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen are looking to hit the ground running here, and they're not trying to take a bunch of time, take 2-3 years to figure out, okay, what's this defensive line going to look like? When are we going to get to a Super Bowl?
You don't draft a tight end and a wide receiver with your first 2 picks in the draft if you don't think the team generally is close to competing, because those are kind of luxury picks, right? So they had an idea that this team has to be close to some degree, and I would agree with you. If that means that Cole Kmet gets shipped out in a Trey Hendrickson deal, I love Cole Kmet. I think he's a very good tight end, above average. I'd like to see him with the Chicago Bears, but if that means you add a blue chip pass rusher by trading him away, so be it. That's what happens, because then you're shedding his salary, you restructure a couple of other deals, and maybe you're able to make a Trey Hendrickson deal work. I think it's possible that the Bears can make something work. Down the line, the cap sheet looks fairly wide open, pretty good for the next few years here. This year, it might be a little bit of a stretch, but you can rework some things, make a couple of cuts that in the long grand scheme of things aren't going to be too meaningful, and add your blue chip pass rusher. It's certainly doable, I would think. And if you have to trade draft capital, go trade draft capital. If you believe this makes the Bears a contender this season, you have to make the move.
And I think that's the thing too, right? Like the one thing that we can question a lot of stuff that Ryan Poles has done here, right? I can question, I mean, last year, right? You went Rome Odunze over Jared Verse. If you get Jared Verse, you're not having this conversation right now. So maybe you look at that a little bit different. But we do think that Rome is going to be this elite player. You can question some of the things he's done in the draft. You can question some of the things he's done in trade or in free agency. The one thing I can't question is Ryan Poles knows how to structure a contract. Yeah. He knows how to structure it ridiculously well. And so when people are like, well, you don't have the money to do this, how are you going to make the money work? You bring up Cole Kmet. I think that's an interesting name because post June 1, right, you save $10 million on that deal. If you work out something where this year, hey, we got to adjust the money you're making this year, but going into next season, you're going to be getting the bag. You're going to be in that Myles Garrett kind of situation. You've structured the Grady Jarrett contract where it doesn't have to hurt you long term. Kevin Byard is somebody who doesn't hurt you long term, right? There's pieces that can be moved. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Jack, when you said, you know, if you feel like this makes you a contender, Trey Hendrickson being added to this defensive line with the DB group that you have on this team defensively makes you a contender. You will have one of the, if not the best defense in the NFC. Now, Philly may have something to say about that, but that defensive line is ridiculously deadly now at that point.
Yeah, and especially if what the inklings we've kind of been hearing is Shamar Turner right now is starting as more of a DT than a DN.
Yeah.
Which means at defensive end, you have Dio Adengbo and you have Montez Sweat. And then the depth after that, maybe Booker, but generally there's a little bit of a fall off. If you can add to that room, especially with a guy as great as Hendrickson, you have to do that. You have to take that opportunity. And I would agree with you. If the Bears right now are not my pick to win the NFC North, I think they will be around 8-9 wins. If they get Trey Hendrickson, this is a team that I think will shut down the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy. This is a team that I think can beat the Packers not once, but maybe even twice next season if they're able to add Trey Hendrickson. This is a playoff team if they add Trey Hendrickson to that defensive line, because suddenly the defense goes from what we see as probably an average to slightly above average group to a great group, because he makes the players around him so much better by adding that extra pressure.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine, like, who are you double teaming there? Like, I'll be honest with you, too. If you feel good about the Grady Jarrett signing, all of a sudden you feel great about the Grady Jarrett signing, because guess what? Pressure's taken off of Grady Jarrett coming up the middle. We were asking, well, can he have that resurgence? Yeah, if Grady Jarrett's one-on-one versus guys, Grady Jarrett's going to be Grady Jarrett. He's still that level of player. The problem is, last season especially, I'm double teaming in the middle. I can focus on Grady Jarrett. I don't have to worry about as many other people because I'm more scared of Grady Jarrett getting to the quarterback than anybody else on this defense. Montez Sweat, Grady Jarrett, Dio Adengbo. We're forgetting about Javon Dexter, who took a great step last season. Hopefully he's able to continue to do that. Shamar Turner. And this is what we were begging the Bears to do all offseason. I get it. People are like, well, how are you going to make the long-term money work? Let Ryan Poles worry about that. We were begging for the Bears to address the trenches. We were begging for the Bears to go all in on the inside. This is one of the best players that is doing it. He's top 3 in pressure rates in the NFL last season. There's no better guy except Myles Garrett than him.
He'd be the Bears defensive player since Khalil Mack when he was in his prime. I mean, Roquan maybe has a chance, but generally I think he'd be the best Bears defensive player since Mack.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Right?
And listen, the Khalil Mack, I would say that's the perfect viewpoint of it there, Jack, right? Like, look at what Khalil Mack did for Mitch Trubisky. I think from that point, now we're far enough away to say Mitch Trubisky's not a good quarterback. It's okay to say it. And I know that was a fight for a long time in Chicago. He's not a good quarterback. And yet that was a 12-4 team led by that defense, led off of the back of Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, the monsters that you had on that defensive line, turned Kyle Fuller into a Pro Bowl level player where he was an okay cornerback. Like, that's what having pressure inside. And I'll tell you this, and hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I'll ask you this, Jack. Is this not the best time to try and make a deal? Because we're saying go big, right? We're saying you trade Cole Kmet, you trade a second-round pick, and you try and figure out how to make the money work. And are you really going to have to give up that much? I know you got to make the money work, right? A 1-year, $21 million deal, but I think Cincy's hand is kind of tied in this whole situation, because Trey's come out and basically been like, you don't want to give me the money, send me somewhere where they want to give me the money.
Yeah, he said in his presser today that he won't play under his current contract. So I don't know if it's going to be a battle of wills. Is he going to sit out all the way up until the season and start sitting out regular season games and give up some of those paychecks, or is he eventually going to go play for the Bengals? Because it's going to be a battle of wills. And right now, the way Trey Hendrickson's framing things, it doesn't sound like he's willing to play. He sounds upset. He sounds PO'd. I don't see him playing regular season games to start the year if he's not either with a new team or has some guarantees for his future.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and we know how that goes. We know how to see, like, Trey's at a point where 31 years old, you got to be a little more careful. You can't just go out there and say, I'm just gonna risk it. Like, I'll play another 1 year deal.
Mhm.
You put him on this deal how many times now? To where it's like, we'll pay you next time. Don't worry, we'll pay you. I don't know if you saw underneath the ESPN tweet, JJ Watt commented on it. And he was like, yeah, I've had these conversations before. This is exactly how it goes. We'll pay you when we get there. You get there, and now and I think Trey Hendrickson said this as well. If you take less money, or if I had gotten 4 sacks, you would be trying to give me less money.
Yeah.
I got 17 and a half. Now you can't afford me. And when you play the game of business as a player, it's looked on very, very differently. I'll ask you this before we get off of the Trey Hendrickson situation. You mentioned the playoffs. How big of a boost does this give the Chicago Bears? Are you saying they're winning the NFC North? Could they be a team that wins the NFC? Because you got to evaluate that if you're going to go big like this, if you're Ryan Poles.
Well, 17 and a half sacks. That's game changing. And I think he multiplies. I'd say it adds 2 wins to next year's totals. And the over under's 8.5 right now. So bump that up 10.5. You expect playoffs with that.
Absolutely.
So I would say this makes them a playoff team. Maybe not the division, because I think the division's going to be stacked again. But then NFC North might beat up on each other. We'll see if the Lions take a step back. But if they add Trey Hendrickson, they have as much talent as anybody else in the NFC North.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the one thing I think you got to pay attention to too is, is Detroit looking at this with their situation now? Money wise, they got some other issues going on. They're gonna have to start paying some people here. But are they looking at this and saying, hey, we don't have a big window left, boys? We may need to go get this guy. Are the Packers looking at a guy like this? Like, that's all the chess pieces that I think come into play with this, where, hey, you may not get him and you may feel comfortable about it, but do you want Caleb Williams being chased by this guy for the next 3-4 years? You know what I mean?
You do not.
I think that plays into it all as well. Let us know how you guys feel in the comments below. We'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Trey Hendrickson, listen, figure the money out. That's my statement with it. It ain't mine to spend. Figure it out when you get there. Let's talk about the schedule drops. We got a couple of schedule drops that hit the docket yesterday. Bears are going to be playing the Eagles on Black Friday on Amazon. I want to start there because, Jack, I think that this may be the Chicago Bears' biggest measuring stick game of the season. You've tried to build a lot of things similar to what the Eagles are doing there with Ben Johnson coming in. I think that the Bears, and there's a lot of teams, of course, Detroit a playoff team, Packers a playoff team. There's a ton of playoff teams there. But the goal is to be one of the best playoff teams. And to me, this is the one measuring stick on your schedule that says, hey, how do we measure up against the best of the best? That's what Ben Johnson wants to know.
Yeah, and the Bears' away schedule and schedule in general is going to be one of the toughest if you just look at last year's records in the National Football League. So they're going to have to steal 1 or 2 of these games that they're not going to be favored in. They're going to have to upset a team or two. On Black Friday against the Eagles, I agree with you. That's a measuring stick. That's the Super Bowl champs. That's what you're aspiring to be. It'll be a big game for them because there's going to need to be 1 or 2 of these games where they go in as the underdog. The Eagles will be one of them. The Ravens will be another. Maybe one of those Lions games. They're going to need to steal one of these games where they go in as underdogs. And Black Friday, those holiday games, things get a little goofy sometimes just because of the situation. It's shorter rest. Some teams aren't as healthy in those games because of the shorter rest. There's always something off in those games. Hopefully that's one the Bears can steal because they're going to need to steal 1 or 2 of them.
You a fan of Friday football?
I'll take it. Little day after Thanksgiving. Why not? I don't hate it.
Those are always those interesting games for me where it's like, this is a weird day.
Yeah,
but it's football, so I'm not mad at it.
Turkey coma on the couch. That's all I need is a little Friday.
You're doubling down on the turkey next day. You're going right back in. You're not giving it a
make
couple
a sandwich out of the leftover stuff and just eat it for
man.
lunch when the game's going on.
Do you do the mixed sandwich? The mixed sandwich, I've seen a couple of people do that where you throw it on a roll. You got like turkey, dressing, mac and cheese, throw a little gravy on top. I've seen people do that.
All right. I like the idea of that. Interesting. I've never had that before. I'll try it out.
It's a dangerous sandwich. You want to talk about a coma? Eat that after the game. You won't make it through the game. Bears are also hosting the Packers on December 20th, the Saturday before Christmas Day. This is end of the season. And Jack, when I saw this come out, of course they released the week 16 game, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Make the game matter. That's all that was my only real takeaway from it, right? If the Bears are 5 and whatever by that point, this game is fun because it's Bears-Packers, but it doesn't matter. Make this game matter this season. I think that's the most important thing for the Bears looking at that game.
No, I would agree with you. That'd be phenomenal if we had a Bears-Packers end-of-season game. It would be the first time in, 3-4 years that we've had one that actually had a ton of stakes on the line for the Bears in the past few years in one of these late-season games. Maybe we'll get the Packers early, too. Maybe an opener or something like that.
Yeah,
That'd be nice against Green Bay. Get an early season one, set the tone, and then have one at home at Soldier Field a little bit later. I like it. A little late-season action. I'll take it right before Christmas. Why not?
When you look at the Bears opponents, and we're waiting for the schedule to come out, schedule drops tomorrow. Weird, slow. Like normally we've got 90% of the schedule by now. I mean, they're kind of keeping this one a little closer to the chest here, schedule release wise. But when you look at the Bears opponents, who do you feel is the most important opponent that you have to see the Bears beat this season? The one that you look at and you go, that's going to tell me whether they're truly here or not.
I think the Vikings is important because you have J.J. McCarthy as the rookie quarterback and second year, but basically in his rookie season because of the injury last season. It's important that they win those division games. And you can say that about every single team in the NFC North. Maybe it's the Vikings, maybe it's the Packers. I think you need to beat the Packers once. You can't go 0-2 against the Packers again. You can't go 1-5 against the division and expect to get in. You probably need to go 500 against the division.
Yeah.
If you go 2-4, there's still a chance you sneak into the wild card, especially with how tough the division is. But it's going to be those divisional games, and I think the Vikings are your most beatable opponent. So for right now, I'll say the Minnesota Vikings.
I like the answer there. I know a lot of people, I talked about this on the breeze earlier. A lot of people were saying the Washington Commanders. I think you're in a no-win situation with the Commanders. That's the one thing, the tough part about this, because when somebody games you, even if you beat them, it's like, I got a game winner on you, bro. Like, come on, dog. Like it was a tip pass into the end zone for me to win the game. That's going to be shown on NFL Network every day, apparently, for the rest of our lives. Like, I don't know if you've just fallen asleep on NFL Network. No matter what, when you wake up, that game is playing. I unless the Bears go in there and destroy them and beat them by 50, I think that's a tough one. I think the Eagles is one of the big ones. But I'll say this: how the Bears go out and perform in that Ravens game against the defense like that, against the team that has all the expectations, with all of these pieces that you added defensively, that's really where, right? I get the J.J. McCarthy aspect that you bring up, but that's really where, right, like, when you're dealing with one of the elite of elite quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the top 8 guys in the league, top 5 guys, if you really want to, multiple-time MVP in Lamar Jackson, how do you deal with the best of the best? Because more likely than not, whenever they do make a Super Bowl, and I'm putting it out there, not if they make a Super Bowl, whenever the Bears do make a Super Bowl under Ben Johnson, you're going to be playing one of these guys. And how Dennis Allen calls his defense, how the Bears go out there and get the energy up to play, I think is going to be very important to see. That's one of those statement games to me this season.
Yeah, I could see that. The thing is, I've already chalked up, like, I'd say 5 of the road games as losses this season because all the opponents are so tough. I just kind of expect they'll go under 500 at home. Like, the Ravens are going to be a tough matchup. The Eagles, as you said, Washington. Who knows what San Francisco is going to be? San Francisco could be what they were last year and win 5 games again, or San Francisco could be a team that's headed to the Super Bowl because they still have that talent on the roster. So that for me is very tough to get over. I understand with what you're saying against the Ravens. I just can't chalk that up as a litmus test almost because to me, the Bears aren't on that level yet.
Yeah.
The Ravens are where you want to be eventually. The Bears aren't there yet. If the Bears are on the Ravens level this season, I would be ecstatic. I'd be running around celebrating. I just don't know that they're there yet. Looking at that road schedule, though, versus the home schedule, I almost think the Bears have to win 6, maybe 7 games at home this year if they want a chance at the playoffs based on how difficult the road schedule is.
I mean, listen, you've got a chance to. You've got New York Giants, rookie quarterback, really good defensive line, really, really solid defense, but rookie quarterback. You've got the Browns, rookie quarterback. You've got the Steelers. Do they have a quarterback?
Not right now. And you better not lose to Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh again. That would really be disappointing.
I'm not going to lie to you. Is Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh? Do we have
I don't know what Aaron Rodgers might not be playing next year for all I know.
Your home schedule right now is 4 rookie quarterbacks, it feels like, unless Aaron Rodgers play. Well, I guess the Steelers don't have a rookie quarterback. But you've got 3 rookie quarterbacks at home here. JJ McCarthy, who, like you said, injury first year, not his rookie year, but first time playing with the Vikings. You've got Jordan Love, you've got Jared Goff, and Dak Prescott. Like, you should be at least a 4-win team on your home schedule.
At least that's the minimum. If you don't win 4 games at home this year, then you're in the same spot as you were last year. You're winning probably 6 games on the season because the schedule right now at home is much easier than it is on the road. So they don't go at least 500 at home. We've got much bigger problems this season.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I get what you say about the Ravens game on the road. I think the thing is, though, we're measuring up to where Ben Johnson's words are right now. That's all we have to go off of. Ben Johnson has come out and said, we don't want to win. We want to win and win big. We want to blow teams out. We want to come off the bus running and leave them running away. Like, we want to make sure that they know that we're the better team that day. Okay, you say that. You come out and you take shots at Matt LaFleur in your first press conference. Matt LaFleur takes some shots back. I love it. The rivalry's back. Let's go. We're saying these things. Can you put those things into action? The Lamar Jacksons, the Jalen Hurtses, really the Saquon Barkley's in that one, the Joe Burrows. You called these guys out and said you want to go out there and beat them bad. Can you do that? Do you have that? Do you have the team? Are you that level of head coach? Because you didn't hide behind anything that was coming here, which we love. I love the fact that he didn't hide and try and say, yeah, we're going to take it slow and try and figure some things out. But when it's easy to say, it's a lot harder to do, especially with this schedule.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll see what the Bears end up doing there. I'll be breaking down the schedule over on Fox.
Look
Plus
at you on TV.
On YouTube TV. Making my TV debut, Jack. Making my
let's
TV
go.
debut. It'll be
That's
me,
awesome.
Adam Abdallah, Luca Nellis, Chris Black. We're going to have a group of hosts over there, man, breaking down the schedule when it drops tomorrow at 7 p.m. So make sure that you tune in with us over there on that. I'm excited, and as you can see, I'm a little bubbly on it. It's gonna be fun, man. Getting to sit next to Luke Nellis and talk Bears is a dream come true. So stay tapped in with us. Tune in with us tomorrow on Fox, 7 p.m. on YouTube and on Fox Chicago Plus. We can't have you on though, Jack, without talking a little bit of Luther Burden.
Oh yeah,
that was your guy. That was your guy. That was the guy that you were most excited about. Of course, now he's a Chicago Bear. Looking at him in rookie minicamp, I was so excited by what this young man could be. I don't understand why he fell to the second round. I couldn't even give you a good reason. Maybe you can.
Yeah.
What ended up happening that Luther Burden was a second round pick? Because when you watch this guy, he is a monster on the field. Fluid, great hands, great movement, and just knows how to play the game.
Yeah, when they made the pick originally, I wasn't super excited about it, even though I have a connection to Luther Burden because I covered him when I was working in Columbia, Missouri. So I had a chance to see him firsthand and watch Luther Burden a lot. I thought they should have went on the defensive side of the ball or drafted another O-lineman. So I thought it was a luxury pick, which is my biggest concern with Luther Burden, is that there's not going to be enough targets for him, which won't let him impact the offense as much as he should. But nonetheless, aside from that, him as a player, I think he fell this year because in Missouri's offense, he took a major step back this season. He only had 600 yards compared to the 1,200 yards he had the year before. And he looked at times like the second best wide receiver in his own offense. They had another guy there, Theo Weiss, who I believe was a redshirt senior. He transferred from Oklahoma, was also a 5-star recruit originally. And he was more of the jump ball receiver, go up and get it kind of guy. He signed with the Dolphins. He's in camp with them right now. So he's also an NFL level talent, but he had 800 yards last year. So he progressed last season where Burden's stats took a step back. And I think some teams were a little bit weary of why did Weiss take a step forward? Why did Burden take a step back? What happened there? There were times his route running wasn't as refined as it should look. And there were also times where, and I think Steve Smith's podcast as well Steve Smith did a good breakdown about this because he's kind of a similar receiver to what Burden was. He did a breakdown about how at times when Burden's not involved in the play, he tended to quit at times on his route or on his blocks. Now there's all that, which is why he fell to the second round. But the reason people thought he was a first round pick, he has great hands, ridiculously good hands. He's strong on the ball, and he has 4.4 speed. So he's a game breaker. and you can get the ball to him in any aspect of the game. The comparison a lot of people go to a lot is Deebo Samuel, which I see a lot of in him. The other comparison I go to is I think he's Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed had 4.4 speed. They get the ball to him a ton. He has strong hands, and the concern for him coming out of college was the route running. And when he gets the ball, he is electric, especially after the catch. I think Luther Burden is that. I think he's electric when he gets the ball. I think he can be a big part of the offense. My concern, and what we've seen with Jaden Reed in Green Bay, one of the big complaints about him is he doesn't get the ball enough. My concern with Luther Burden is he won't get the ball enough in this offense because he'll be more used as that slot receiver, and you still have to feed DJ, you still have to feed Rome, and you have to feed your 2 tight ends.
I want to go back to something you said there because we had wide receiver coach from Mizzou, Jacob Peeler, on, and he basically refuted the entire Steve Smith podcast, saying like, I've seen this guy on the sideline cheering for his teammates, giving his all when he is in the game. You would agree, though, with what Steve Smith's sentiments were, that there were times where Luther Burden wasn't going as hard if he wasn't involved in the offense.
I would, from what I saw on the field, yes. Now, I think the teammates thing is completely different. All his teammates seem to like him at Missouri. So I think that's a different case. I think he can still be a very good teammate, but on certain plays when he's not involved in the play, check out a little bit. Like same thing in basketball. When you see a player standing in the corner because they're not involved in the play, that happens sometimes. I think that happened sometimes for Burden where he wasn't involved in the play, so he maybe wasn't finishing his route or something like that. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I think it's something that scouts would look at. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, I don't know if Patrick Williams needed that shot there from you, but no, I think that in the grand scheme of things, right, we're looking at those moments and saying at Mizzou, very concerning maybe because he's your number 1 and or 2 guy, depending on how you feel that season. Here, maybe a little bit different. I'll ask you this. I asked this to Shay, and I thought this after watching him because of how many people are on this team and talking with Richard Hightower up at Hallis. Do you feel like he would be somebody who's good in the kick return, the punt return game? Because to me, I agree with you. I think you need to do everything that you can to get the ball in this young man's hands. But with Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, all of these people, you added Olamide Zaccheaus, who in his own right, 776 yards in the slot last season. I don't even know if Luther Burden's the number 1 slot receiver on this team just yet until we get to training camp. Would that be a role that you think that he would thrive in, as something the Bears should use him in?
Yeah, I think he needs a little bit of refining in his game, but I think when he has the ball in his hands as a punt returner, he's electric. He had multiple returns for touchdowns and big returns at Mizzou over the past 2 seasons. That's how Mizzou manufactured touches for him. And I think with a little bit of coaching on when to fair catch it, and the thing with Luther Burden is when he was at Mizzou, whenever the punt was going back to him, he was just so much faster than everybody else on the field that he rarely fair caught it. He'd be the guy that would take 3 steps backwards and then go upfield because that's what he could do. At the NFL level, that's not going to work, right? He's going to take 3 steps backwards and get smashed by whatever NFL players coming down the field. So I think a little bit of refining, a little bit, all right, Luther maybe a little more conservative, but once the ball's in his hands, 100%, I think he'd be a great punt returner.
Is his role on this team, with kind of where the weaponry are, more of, like you said, an early on Deebo Samuel? Because Deebo's changed tremendously over his time here. And early on Deebo Samuel, I would say even like almost a Taysom Hill kind of guy. Not Taysom Hill adding quarterback, but whatever we need you to do, you got to do it because that's the only way for us to get the ball into your hands.
Yeah, I'd say Deebo's a better comp than Hill just because Hill's a little bit bigger, I think.
I'm going to go through you.
And I don't think he'll be used as a blocker as much as Hill would be used. But for Samuel, yes. And I think you see that in Green Bay, too, with Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed has, I don't know the exact stat off the top of my head, but he's getting 2 or 3 carries a game where they're handing it off on reverses or things like that. I think 100% we'll see him kind of used in the backfield on reverses and things like that. He's blazing fast. He has the good hands. If you get him the ball and you throw it to him, he's going to make a play on it. The question's going to be, can you get him the ball?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Jaden Reed last season, 20 attempts in the season, 163 yards, and what was his yards per carry? About 10 rushing yards per game. So not bad using him in the backfield. I think that Luther Burden is going to be somebody that Bears fans are going to be so excited about because of that. The any-man football player, right? That's kind of what he feels like, an all-around football player. When you look at his game, you covered him a ton in college. What's the one thing that you think is going to be the biggest work in progress of him coming to the league?
Refined route running, I would say. I think he runs good routes, but Mizzou actually pre-drafts, because they didn't use his full route tree this season. I don't know why. Maybe it was the offensive design. Maybe it was mishandling. I'm not sure. But they didn't use a full route tree for Luther Burden. So in the offseason, they actually had to put out a video pre-draft process of him running different routes, and people were speculating. And that was just in like the Mizzou facility. That was people speculating. That was because he had to show teams that he could run every single type of route.
Yeah.
So I think if he polishes up on that a little bit, creates a little more separation, that'll go a long way for him. But because of his speed, that kind of gets overlooked at times because he's just faster than the next guy. So if he's just running a straight go route, nobody's going to touch him.
Yeah.
But maybe on those 5-yard down and ins, he could use a little more help breaking out of that.
I do wonder if that goes into the the refinement of the route running, if that goes into the focus, right? At times when he's a blocker, am I running my routes as hard? Because when I saw him at rookie minicamp running routes, it was one of the things that I was like, this guy's crisp. Like, he does not miss a step. But first day in the NFL, first rookie minicamp, you're going to put your best foot forward. You're not going to sit there and run a lazy route your first day in, right? And there's also not there's not blockers and stuff in front of you. So I wonder if the route running is a product of maybe some of the losing focus at times, if that is something that he deals with. I think that, listen, Luther Burden's going to be a fun project. We appreciate having you on. Before we get up out of here, Jack, the sports conspiracy world is all in an uproar. I couldn't get out of here without talking. When EO dropped this one, the number 1 overall pick goes to the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA draft, who traded away Luka Doncic mid-season to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and Max Christie, basically, a half-dead dog and the bullet to put it down with. Is the NBA draft rigged?
No.
And is this your favorite sports conspiracy?
It might be my favorite, but no, the NBA draft isn't rigged. Come on, what are we doing here? They have an accounting firm that does it, who, I don't know, maybe they're making stuff up, but I don't think so. I watched the little video of the ping pong balls shooting out of the lottery machine today too, just to see what it actually looked like, because each team has their little representative there tracking the numbers too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's rigged. This is what happens when you have a lottery. Every once in a while, some team jumps up. I think it just so happened the Mavericks got the pick this year. So, no, I don't think it's rigged. One of my favorites of all time is that the Orioles, I think it was 1997, I want to say, Cal Ripken Jr. might have had to sit out a game, but they wanted to extend his games played streak. So they created or manufactured an electrical outage at the stadium so the lights wouldn't go on and had to postpone the game. That's my favorite sports conspiracy of all time, that somebody in the electric department made the lights go out at the stadium to save Cal Ripken Jr.'s streak. And if you dive deeper into that conspiracy theory, it's because he punched Kevin Costner before the game because they got in an argument.
Kevin Costner,
I don't know if that's true. That seems a little rich for me, because I don't know that Cal Ripken Jr. is punching Kevin Costner, but that's my favorite of all time. But no, I don't think the NBA.
Well, now we got to get Kevin Costner on the podcast and find out if Cal Ripken Jr. punched him before the game. I mean, enough time has passed. This would be phenomenal. Only thing I'll say is this, Jack. Only thing I'll say to refute it is this: 2011, the Chris Paul was traded from the Pelicans to the Clippers. In 2012, they got the number 1 overall pick. In 2019, Anthony Davis was traded from the New Orleans Pelicans to the Lakers. In 2019, they got the number 1 overall pick. In 2025, Luka Doncic was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. In 2025, the Dallas Mavericks got the number 1 overall pick. So I say all that to say we need to trade Kobe White and Josh Giddey to somebody and see if it's worth it to get us a number 1 overall pick.
Send them all to LA so the NBA can love Chicago again.
Everyone.
Yeah. The issue is on the Bulls, I don't know that there's a player that's big enough where anybody would be willing to give us rig the draft for the number 1 pick for us.
The NBA looks at it and said, we gave you a number 1 overall pick and you effed it up. Exactly. You let Tom Thibodeau get a hold of him and he destroyed his knees. I don't know, man. Listen, I think my favorite sports conspiracy is probably the Super Bowl one, the lights going off at the Super Bowl, keeping the electric going out theme. That was how they got John Harbaugh his Super Bowl win. But, the 49ers also could have kept playing in the second half well, and they didn't. So, hey, man, we appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Let us know your favorite sports conspiracy down in the comments below. I think the NBA rigged one has some legs. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, there's too many examples of it happening. LeBron to Cleveland, Derrick Rose to Chicago. Come on, Jack. It's a little wild. It's a little wild. Y'all stay safe out there in Chicago. For Jack McGrath, AI Jack, is your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Bed down. One love. Peace.